15-year-old Daisy didn't plan on falling in love with her cousin Edmund while a full-blown war was happening around her. It just kind of happened. It all started after her evil stepmother and father sent her from her home in New York all the way to England to live with 4 cousins and an aunt she'd never met. Let me read you a little bit. The first thing I did was to check my phone for messages, but all it said was, "No network." And I thought, oh boy, so much for civilization, and I felt a little freaked out and thought of that movie where they say, no one can hear you scream. But then I went over to the window and looked out, and there was the slightest bit of pink light over to one side where the sun must have started coming up. And a totally quiet gray mist hung over the barn and the gardens and the fields, and everything was perfectly still and beautiful. And I stared, expecting to see a deer or maybe a unicorn trotting home after a hard night. But I didn't see anything except some birds. After a while, I was cold and got back under the blankets. I felt too shy to come out of my room, so I stayed there and I thought about my old home, which unfortunately led to thinking about Davina the Diabolical, who sucked my father's soul out through his you-know-what, and then got herself knocked up with the devil's spawn, which, when it pops out, Leah and I were going to call Damien, even if it's a girl. According to my best friend Leah, D the D would have liked to poison me slowly till I turned black and swelled up like a pig and died in agony, but I guess that plan flopped when I refused to eat anything, and in the end she got me sent off to live with a bunch of cousins I'd never met a few thousand miles away, while she and Dad and the devil's spawn went on their merry way. If she was making even the slightest attempt to address centuries of bad press for stepmothers, she scored a big fat 0. But as Daisy starts to realize, life is a little bit harder than she thought. War is breaking out all around her, and she's suddenly ripped away from Edmund and her 4 cousins and sent away to a smaller town in England. Will she find her way back to Edmund? Will she be able to live during this crazy war that's happening? I don't know. You're going to have to read it to find out. You definitely should check out How I Live Now by Meg Rosoff. Meg Rosoff is an amazing author. She was born in America, but she now lives in England, so she has a good idea of the setting of this book. You'll be laughing and you'll be crying as you read it. It's so good. And for those of you who like movie adaptations, this book was turned into a movie and released last year, October 2013. And did I mention that this is the winner of the Prince Award for Excellent Literature? So whether you want to check out this one or something else, stay tuned because there's a few more books following that I think are really great. If you like Meg Rosoff and How I Live Now, you should check out her other book, Just in Case. It's about a young boy who sees danger all around him and begins to live his life trying to escape fate. Or if Daisy and Edmund's romance set in the middle of a war interests you, you should check out Two Suns in the Sky by Miriam Bat Ami. Set during World War II, a forbidden romance due to different religions and against all odds type of book. Finally, if you enjoy a clear, true voice telling the story, like Daisy's in How I Live Now, you should read Why We Broke Up by Daniel Handler. It's the story of a doomed relationship between an artsy girl and a popular jock. Really good. So, whether you decide to read How I Live Now, Why We Broke Up, Just in Case, or Two Suns in the Sky, get a bookmark, find a comfy place to sit, and enjoy the adventure that these books will take you on.